Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Blue Book Records. So, what are we talking about here? Looking at Rule 17.1, you might have something like an unpublished manuscript. In this situation, you'll cite the author, the title, the date in parentheses, and designate that as an unpublished manuscript in a parenthetical. And then in another parenthetical, tell the reader where that unpublished manuscript is. So in this situation, on file with so-and-so. A dissertation or a master's thesis, we start with the author, followed by the title, date, then designate that as a thesis, the university where that thesis is from, and then again a parenthetical where it's on file. Memorandum, letter, that sort of thing. Designate that as a memorandum from so-and-so to so-and-so, the date and where it's on file. Email correspondence, same thing. Email from so-and-so, their title, if it's necessary, to so-and-so, the date and the specific time. Now in emails we have we know the time and the time of day, and then where that's on file. Forthcoming publication, like a law review article, we would cite that just like we would cite a periodical. But instead, then of course you might have the volume information, but not the page on which the article will start. So you just eliminate that part, and then in a parenthetical, write forthcoming, and then your best guess is when that's going to be out. Working paper, kind of the same thing as a law review article. Author or authors, title in italics, and then designating that as a working paper, where the working paper's from, what kind of research institute or center. So now going back to manuscripts, this is 17.2.1. For unpublished, or you could say not formally published, or those that aren't scheduled for publication, like a forthcoming situation. We're using ordinary Roman type font. The author's name will be at the beginning. The title will follow. Don't use italics. Followed by the date. And then designate that as a unpublished manuscript in a parenthetical. And then in a separate parenthetical, tell us, meaning the reader, where it is. So on file with the author, that sort of thing. Again, Rule 17.2.2, dissertations and graduate school thesis. We do this in the same method as unpublished manuscripts, but in a parenthetical, we're adding the date and the type of work and the institution that awarded the degree. So you'll have the author's name, set off by a comma, the title of the work, no italics. The date the work was finished, and or the date or thesis was defended, in a parenthetical, and then in a parenthetical following that, the type of work, so PhD, dissertation, it could be an undergraduate thesis or a master's degree thesis, followed by the institution, set off by a comma. And then again, at the end, we're always indicating where the reader can find that unpublished piece. Rule 17.2.3, this is letters, memoranda, press releases. When you cite to these things, we are identifying the nature of the document, identifying the addressee by name, title, and institution. So if it's a letter or memoranda, who's it's addressed to, and using abbreviations, of course, T6 and 11. So for example, we'd have letter from so-and-so, the title, their institution, set off by a comma, to the receiver, his or her title, and their institution as well. Followed by, in a parenthetical, the date of that correspondence, and then again at the end, a parenthetical to tell the reader where that particular correspondence is, on file with so-and-so, on file with the author, a library, sometimes a law review. So email correspondence, sometimes you'll have a listserv posting. It's kind of an online posting. So Blue Book says analogize this to unpublished letters, and adding the date and time stamp as well for specific identification. So for example, email from so-and-so, their title, the institution, to the addressee, the receiver, their title, their institution, date, and timestamp with the time zone, and where we can find that information, or archival information. So on file with so-and-so, on file with author. So listservs, we're doing this in a similar format, but we'll add the author's email address and the address of the listserv. So then we'll start that with posting of, instead of like email, a posting of so-and-so, his or her email address, to the listserv, the address of the listserv, the date on which the posting was made, and where we can find that. So on file with so-and-so. So interviews, this is rule 17.2.5. When we're citing to in-person or telephone interviews, start with what it is, right? Telephone interview with, in-person interview, or interview with, then name, title, institutional affiliation, date, and the date of the interview. For an in-person interview, you'll just want to indicate the location of that in-person interview. Again, abbreviating according to Table 6 and 10. So Rule 17.2.6, speeches and addresses. Then we're identifying the speaker by name, the speaker's title, institutional affiliation, the title of the speech or address, and the date should follow in a parenthetical. Again, refer to T6 and 10 for abbreviations. You can also cite to a transcript of the speech or address, indicating that in a parenthetical at the end. So transcript available in a library or wherever you'll find that. But if it's has been published, then you'll want to use in italics, and then go ahead and state where it's in, according to our normal rules of citation. So Rule 17.3, forthcoming publications. We cite a book, article, or other work just the same way as we would. The piece would be if it was published, same typefaces, etc. But there are three exceptions. We don't include the pin site. Following the title of the journal or the book. The second exception is we add the designation forthcoming in a parenthetical. And the third exception was we include the month of publication in addition to the year. If you know the volume number, add it. Omit the volume number if you don't know it yet. Working papers, this is Rule 17.4. When you're citing to an unpublished work, that's a working paper. Just provide a parenthetical indicating the name of the sponsoring organization, the working paper designation and number. So working paper numbers such and such, and a year of that working paper. So, for example, you have the author and regular typeface, and then the name of the article in italics, a parenthetical, the institutional or sponsoring organization, and the working paper designation with the number and year. So Rule 17.5, this is electronic databases and online sources. So sometimes you'll cite to unpublished and forthcoming materials in a database. We provide the citation to the document first, according to this rule, and then a citation to the database. Databases will assign a unique identifier or code, add that as well, to assist the reader in locating it. When citing to an electronic source directly, then we will consult Rule 18, which we'll talk about next. So short citation forms, this is Rule 17.6. We can use it in super forms if it's been already fully cited, enclosing the page citation to the manuscript version of the forthcoming publication in parentheses. And I would consult their examples 1 through 6 in the Blue Book. So thanks, everybody. That's Rule 17. We'll take a short break and come back to Rule 18.